You would have thought like I was a chick on the street and they didn't know me. Like I wasn't their little sister. Like I was not, had no ties to them. But no, I wasn't, because I already knew what they was gonna do. Like I had, like I said, it's like 7 of us. One of us had passed out of that side. And I'm like, if everybody come one day a week, I want to pay no caregivers. So it's like some people was like complaining about, paying caregivers. I'm like, well, why do I have to pay his kids to come take? I said, okay. So this is a lot of drama. But no, I didn't feel like I wanted to give it. Like I definitely wasn't giving it to them. If anything, like it wasn't nobody else to give it to. Like I was it. Like he wasn't married. I was it. Hey, my name is Jamie. I guess I'll share. I have a lot of testimonies, but I'm going to start with this one. And whoever Holy Spirit lead me, that's where we go roll. But I'm going to try to keep it concise. So I will start with after I had my daughter a year. She wasn't even 1 yet. My dad fell and broke his hip. And my dad is, well, at that time, my dad was older. My dad was in his late 70s. So he fell and broke his hip. He lived by himself. And so now I had to take care of him as well as this kid that I'm still trying to figure out. So, and prior to even having, before he fell, the job that I was working at, I was doing home health care, and I was able to take my daughter with me. And then the lady that I was taking care of, she ended up going to memory care. And so I wasn't working. Now I still have this kid, and now I'm taking care of my dad. So it was a whole situation. And I didn't want to do it because me and my daddy had beef. I'm not gonna lie, but they had beef like prior to that. Me and him started talking again once I was 5 months pregnant. But before that, I didn't talk to him for like 2 years. We had beef and I wasn't backing down. That was the petty version of me. But as I've grown, and then like I said, my brother kept like, you talk to your daddy? I'm like, no. Like, you talk to your dad? I'm like, no. And I really wasn't trying to. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely was being disobedient. But then eventually, clearly God touched my heart. And we ended up meeting. I was 5 months pregnant. And ever since I had my child, like he had been like the best dad and granddad for her, like especially for her. Like he was so excited for her. So we was able to spend like the last year of his life, even though he broke his hip, he had to go to rehab and surgery and all those things. It was actually a lot. I'm gonna get into that. But at least the last year of his life, we actually was able to reunite, and then he was actually able to see his grandchild, grow for a little bit of life that he's seen for her. So that was a good thing, which I know was nothing but God, because he brought us together right in the right time. Because I know if he fell and broke his hip and I was not connected to him, I don't know what would have happened to him. Like, there's so many people that, try to take advantage of elderly people and things like that. So who knows what will happen. So by the grace of God, he connected us back together. And that was I did not want to do it, but I just can't remember, because when I was in church, we learned about the ABCs of faith, and one of them was honor our father and our mother. And I just kept thinking about that scripture, which I know was the Lord, to like take care of your daddy. Even though I don't want to, I did it anyway, because you're supposed to honor your father and your mother. Regardless if y'all got beef or not, you're still supposed to honor your parents, so your days will be long. Don't be disobedient like me. I'm glad I did, because I was able to not only take care of him in his last year of life, but also be able to build a bond. And it was something special that we never had before, because my daddy was old. Like I told you, my daddy was old. He was like a true old man. Like, he wasn't the one to hold your hand and all of that. Like, he spoiled me financially. He would take me anywhere, but like, he wasn't the emotional one. He wasn't the one to be like, hey, come give me a hug. And like, he wasn't, go sit down. He wanted them. So it wasn't like we had that type of relationship, so to say. So for us to have that moment, and, especially after coming up, not talking to him for so long, we were able to build that, and he actually appreciated what I was doing. And, like one day I was either making the schedule, because we had caregivers, we had to do rehab. It was a lot, which I will explain later on. And he just, he's like, thank you. And I'm looking like he crazy, like, thank you for what? Like, because he's never like just said thank you. But once he realized, like, I wasn't trying to take advantage of him, I wasn't trying to take his money, like, I really cared about him and was taking care of him, he was just like, thank you. And that's something that, like, Like I said, when he said that, I looked at him like he was crazy. What's wrong with you? Like, because we just never had that type of relationship. So I'm happy that I was obedient and honored my father and my mother, like the Bible say, and was able to see that, because like once he died, it wasn't like I had this regret of, oh, I didn't talk to him, or oh, I wasn't able to take care of him, or oh, I wish I could have said this or whatever, or I wish he could have met Haley, which is my daughter. But it was like, no, God aligned everything the way it was supposed to be. So I want to start with that. I want, like, if you have a parent and you got your eyes with or whatever, like, be intentional on mending the relationship. Now, I'm not saying, I know it's hard sometimes with certain parents. I know certain things happen. There's a lot of trauma and things like that, but you still supposed to honor your parents. Now, I'm not saying you let them take advantage of you. That's not what I said. But you do still supposed to honor your parents. That's what the Bible say. Regardless of however they are still your parents, and you would not be here without them. So I want to put that little note in there. And then the whole transition of taking care of another adult, like taking care of a child is one thing, but taking care of a grown person that talk back is another thing. And it was a learning curve for me, because I now not only taking care of him, but I'm taking care of his finances, his medical stuff, making decisions, rehabs, hospitals, insurance company. Like, I'm doing all this other stuff. Like, I didn't have to deal with, because I was the child and I just had a child, but it still wasn't the same. So I learned a lot about being prepared, like, as you get older. So that's another thing I would like to bring up really quick too, is if you have elderly parent, or not even elderly parents in general, your parents, grandparents, especially if they're older, to have things set in place like power of attorney, and have all like trust and wills and things set up, because my dad didn't, which was a whole nother ordeal. Luckily he worked for GM. So GM has like an attorney, like a legal service that's free to their, the people who retire from them, and they're able to use their legal services or whatever. So we was able to use that to get the power of attorney of healthcare and power of attorney of everything else, and his will and all that stuff set up for free, which was good because money wasn't rolling in. So I was grateful for that, but also just, it taught me like to set yourself up. So like, I have a child, to have life insurance, to have, power of attorney set up, or if something happened to you, what is going to happen to your kid, where they're going to go. Like, granted, you might be married, or you may not be married, but it's like, if something happens to both of y'all, like, who go take care of them? Like, setting those things up, preparing for them. So when you do get older, whether it's now or later, they don't have to like do everything and be frustrated, or, just taking all of that extra stress. Like, they already have to take care of you, but now they have to figure out how to take care of all this legal stuff. So I would say that, like, start preparing. I guess it's called estate planning. Start doing that. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. So start small. Just get a life insurance policy. Like, if you don't do nothing else, get that. So at least if you die, somebody can't, you're covered. Like, you don't have to go do a GoFundMe and like that. Like, you at least have that part. So I will say that. Get one on your kid too, because you just never know. Like, it's a thing to have, and it helps you when you are in a situation where it's like, now you stressed out about taking care of somebody. Now you got to deal with the hospitals, because like, when somebody is in a hospital, whether it's surgery or whatever type of sickness or things, you're dealing with so many different personalities and so many different levels of, how to put this, I guess I can say authorities, because when you're in a hospital, like, when you have somebody in the hospital and you're taking care of them, you have so many responsibilities. And if it's like multiple things that's wrong with them, that's different departments, different things, different stuff that the insurance cover, different stuff that the hospitals accept and don't. Like, it's a lot of work, and you're dealing with a lot of different people, and they just come in and just like, okay, say whatever they got to say and walk out. And it's like, nah, homeboy, like, I'm going to need you to come explain this. Like, we go have a discussion about this. So it's like, well, you got to deal with all of that, and you got to turn around and figure out how you got to pay for stuff. That's a lot. So start estate planning now. Like I said, if you don't do nothing, get a life insurance policy. If you don't do nothing else, get a life insurance policy. But I will say, get your affairs in order, because it really matters, especially if you have children, because your child shouldn't have to take care of the responsibility of things that you're supposed to do. Like, my dad, like, he just didn't know though, like, either, because he had like an 8th grade education. Like, he didn't know. However, it's just like, now that I know, I spread the word. So when I see people who take care of their parents or grandparents and things like that, one, I tell them to be grateful that they're still alive. Two, I'm like, okay, let me tell you some things I learned, some of the resources to help you. So I want to put it out there because we need to be prepared and do better when it comes to preparing for the end, which is real life, so people don't have to be flustered and stuff at the end when stuff is all crazy.
So when you were taking care of your father, how long was it after from the time that you started taking care of him did he pass? Do you remember the length of time that was?
Like a year and a half.
Well, I know you were saying that he was like, oh, are you just doing this just because? Are you just doing this because of money? In the beginning, you said you didn't really want to do it, but once you got into it, like, how was your feelings during the whole duration of taking care of him?
Oh, yes, I did not want to do it. Not necessarily because I didn't want to take care of him. I didn't want the responsibility of taking care of the whole person. It wasn't like I didn't want to take care of him personally. It's I didn't want that responsibility because that's a lot. Like you dealing, like I was stating, you're dealing with, like, I'm his power of attorney. So basically it's like if he was my child, but he's a grown man. So like I'm making the decisions on what surgeries to do. I'm making decisions on trying to figure out which insurance company go pay for this and how long he can stay here. Cause it's like when you have Meta Care, I think that's one for 65 and over. It's like if you in rehab, you have to be out of rehab or a hospital for a certain amount of time before they cover again. It's a whole bunch of foolishness. So it's like, and then he has limited resources because he made more money than what the state wants you to make. So it's certain things that he could not get that everybody else could get. So like paying out of pocket for caregivers, paying out of pocket for certain things because he was over the income limit. So it's not that I at that time we was cool, so I didn't mind taking care of him in that sense, like helping him out. I just didn't want the responsibility because I knew it was more than just taking care of him, because also I'm the youngest of like 8 kids. So it was more than just taking care of him. And I'm gonna just be focused. I know that to fight and deal with the drama of siblings. So that was the biggest part I didn't want to deal with. But I knew if I didn't, I knew it would happen to him. So I had to, because I already know what would happen to him. So as far as so when it came to his passing, okay, I'm breaking down him right. Okay, so he fell and broke his hip. He had surgery. After he had surgery, he went to rehab. He was at rehab for probably 2 to 3 months. And then when he went to rehab, he went back home. And then I had caregivers too, so that was a whole nother thing. And he was cussing out care. He was acting a fool. He was cussing out care. Like my dad, like if you ever was like a nurse aide or you was in a hospital and you hear like the old man fussing and cussing, that was my daddy. So it was a mess. But it was one caregiver. I swear, I know she's from the grace of God. Like I know God sent her. It's a little bit sure. Her name was Gigi. I don't know what type of thing she had on my daddy, but when I say that was the only one that he respected and did what she said, I would just like, thank you, Lord. So she kind of took over the caregiver things for me because she was the only one who could, like, I'm not gonna say make him do something, but she had that type of, he respected her. I'll put it that way. He respected her. So he did whatever she said. So like if it's another caregiver there and it's time and he need to go take a shower or go to the bathroom, he'd just mess on himself and not take a shower. When she there, he up walking around going, is she making him go get a shower? Like I'm not about to pick him up like he does, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that he's supposed to be doing. So he respected her. I'll put it that way. The hospital, he had different surgeries and then he went to this last rehab, which I should have sued him. However, I was just exhausted with the whole situation from dealing with all that stuff with him medically because he kept going to all these different hospitals. But he ended up getting infected in his blood at this last rehab. And I know it's from them, but anywho, I'm not going down. But I could have sued them and I know that I would. I just was exhausted with the whole situation of like taking care of all of that stuff, dealing with all those different entities. And then, like I said, his other kids and family drama. So I'm just like, I'm doing all of this. I did my part. I took care of him. He good. So then he ended up, once he got infected and stuff and his blood count was super low at the last nurse rehab, they sent him to the hospital. When he went to the hospital, he was unconscious and he had infection in his blood. So he had recently had surgery on his shin. So they basically cut his shins open and was fixing his veins. So that's where the infection got in at the second rehab. And that's where everything like went downhill. So when he was in a hospital, once they sent him from rehab with low blood count, he was unconscious, infection in the blood. he was unconscious for a while. And actually, his birthday too, he was kind of still like, he was able to talk and things like that. So they had him a feeding tube and catheter for a while. So then, this another thing. This whole situation, take care of my dad, was literally like, it was guided by God, because it was just certain things that I had no idea about that like somebody would tell me. So like, I was looking for, because he had run out of his rehab days according to the insurance thing, I was looking for, I didn't want to put him in a nursing home because I used to work at a nursing home, and I knew if he wasn't able to get like physical therapy and things like that, like he wouldn't improve. So it was like, y'all not just about to make money off my daddy, like y'all just not. So, and I was looking for those because then we can have the physical therapists and all those and the doctors and stuff come to him there, because he couldn't go back home. Like, he now, not only was his hip replaced, now he got his leg open, so like he can't even really walk. So it was a whole thing. And one of the ladies, I don't even remember where I called her from, I was just calling random group homes going out way out in the middle of nowhere, like crazy, looking at these nursing homes, looking for a place for him to go. And I was calling one, and she called me back. I don't even know how we got on conversation, but she was like, have you ever heard of, I forgot the name of it, but it's like a special type of rehab. And I was like, no, but I remember the name. So like weeks later, we back in the hospital. We had this whole discussion of like, what we go do? Like, are we transitioning him to hospice? What we go do? And I was like, hey, do y'all have you heard of, because we had like a meeting with the doctors and the nurses. And I asked her about this special rehab. I don't remember the name of it now. And she's like, oh yeah, we got one upstairs, like on the next level. I said, I know that's guy. She was like, let me see if I can get him in there. So, but he had to pass like a certain test. Like he had to be able to swallow to pass the test. And by the grace of God, I had my caregivers there during from 8 to 8 basically. So I had Gigi, which was the one who was in charge of everything. And I had another one later in the evening, was a guy. So I had somebody there through visiting hours, because at that time he couldn't talk and he was unconscious. So me knowing what I know about working at a nursing home and knowing people, I'm just like, y'all not go do what y'all supposed to do, because I can't be there. Because remember, I have a child, like a young child. So I had them there, so they would be there taking notes, talking to the doctors. You know, if they come in, they'll call me and things like that. Because the doctors, they don't have like a set like schedule. They just come in whenever they come in. You there or not, you see the patient, and they're going about their business. So by me having caregivers there, they can ask the questions, call me on the phone or whatever. So they tried to do the test and he didn't pass at first. And by her being there, the caregiver being there, said, okay, try again. Like she was making them do their job. And eventually he passed. So he went up to the special rehab. I really wish I would remember that name. If I looked at his documents, I'm pretty sure I could find it. So he went up, he was able to go upstairs, and he started getting better. He was alert. He has only one brother, and his brother was able to see him before he passed. And like, he couldn't like talk, but he was alert and look and things like that. So that was a good thing, because he only has one brother, and my daddy had moved and didn't tell nobody. And that's how he fell and broke his hip, because he asked somebody that he did not trust. And I think she set him up, but she told me one story, and she told my brother another story when we was at the hospital. And she was trying to get his little pension check. Like, we can just go deposit it. We got an ATM card. We can just deposit the bank. What he need his pension check for? Where he going? Where is he going? He not going nowhere. Like, he don't need it. So I think it was a setup, but I digress on that. But he knew he didn't trust this one, but he did it anyway. So that was, you know, you got to pay the consequence for certain things. So his brother lost contact with him, and I didn't have his number because I never met the man. It's a whole lot of be going on with my daddy. But anywho, so when I finally got in contact with him, by the time I got in contact with him, my daddy was unconscious. So it was great for him to be able to go to the special rehab so he can be conscious. He was able to really talk, but he was alert, and he can, you know, gesture and whatnot with his brother. So that was good. His brother was able to see him before he actually like transitioned, because when I got in contact with him at the time, he was unconscious at the time. So when he went up to the special rehab, he was, you know, conscious again. He couldn't talk, but he was able to gesture and things like that. So that was amazing for him and his brother to be reconnected before, you know, he passed. So he was there for maybe like a couple weeks, and like I said, we had family members, a lot of drama, and they were trying to start stuff like, how you know she the power of attorney, and all of this. Just drama. And the lady was like, because she had to get it notarized, like it's not like you can forge a signature. So it was a whole bunch of drama. And a family member said something to him like, I'm gonna take care of you, or I'm a whatever. In so many words, like, she go take over, like she go be the power of attorney, she go take care of him. And when I say literally, like the next day it went downhill. He was like, forget all of that, I'd rather die. And literally it went downhill. So then he transitioned to hospice. And if you don't know hospice is basically like the last stages of life, where they try to keep you comfort. They give you like medication so you don't feel pain and things like that. They let you do whatever you want to do if you're able to do things. So then he transitioned to hospice, and like I said, the infection was just in his body, infection in his legs, in his blood. They chopped, like they had to like take half of his foot, like at the bottom of his foot, because it was infected. It was a lot. So it was a lot going on with him, and like I said, he ended up in hospice. So once he was in hospice, it just was like you literally just waiting for this person. Like in reality, you just literally just waiting for whenever they take their last breath. So I still had caregivers there. His brother will visit. And it's crazy because this one particular day, which is the day that he passed, Haley had a doctor's appointment, so I didn't go see him that day. And I literally I just had pulled in front of the house to get out the car with Haley from her doctor's appointment. And the caregiver, because God just be working. So it was Gigi, which is the woman that he respected. His brother, they come in the morning, so they'll go visit and sit with him in the morning. And then the second caregiver, which is the male, he comes in at like afternoon, so like at 2:00. So basically, as soon as they left, got in their car and left, he called me like, he gone. So it's like he didn't die in front of them, because he knew that both of them couldn't handle it. So, but literally as soon as they left, that's when, he passed or whatever. I mean, it kind of was surreal at first. It's just like, I mean, I knew it was coming, but it just was like, I don't know, like it just was surreal. And then, my coping, I went to Chipotle every day. I just literally every day, like sometimes I went by myself, sometimes like people would go with me, like that's how I just went to Chipotle. Like I don't know why, but I just went to Chipotle. Don't ask me why, I don't know, but I stayed at Chipotle. And then so I was at peace with it, because I did my part as a daughter. I made sure he was good. I took care of him the best way I knew how. I respected him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when you take care of an elderly parent, like it's a whole different type of dynamic, because they feel like you bossing them around and they feel like a kid. So you got to kind of, and by me working in healthcare with elders, with seniors, I kind of, I kind of know how they are, where they feel like somebody's telling them what to do. And it's like, I'm the mama, I'm the daddy, you supposed to be the kid and all this type of thing. So I try to respect him, even though I had to make the decisions. I still try to respect him as an adult, like he's not a kid. He's still a grown man. Even though he's getting on my nerves, and he knew he was getting on my nerves, but he still was. So like certain things I would do, which was unnecessary. And then some people they probably thought it was wasteful. Like I kept his car. Mind you, he ain't driving the car, ain't drove the car, and was not going to drive the car because he couldn't drive the car ever. And just little things. So if you do have to take care of either a grandparent or an elderly parent, like be mindful. Like it's yes, it's a transition for you, and it's hard because you have to take care of this person. But also remember, like, it's a transition for them, because they used to taking care of you, and now you telling them what to do. And most adults ain't too fond of that. So just be mindful of that. And I'm glad that I worked with seniors prior to taking care of him, because I was aware of that, and just certain things that it helped me to take care of him in that manner, where I still was able to respect him as a man and as my father, but also like, look, I'm gonna need you to sit down. I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story. This is the first day that he came back from rehab. So mind you, prior to this, my dad has always stayed by himself. He's always lived by himself, old or not, like he's always lived by himself. So he was taking care of himself until he broke his hip. So he went to rehab for like 3 months or whatever, or close to 3 months. And his first day back, I asked him, okay, so he was there. We was chilling, getting stuff together. Prior to him getting out, I was like, hey, do you want me to get your your TV on, your phone on? I don't need all that because I ain't there. Okay. So he gets home. Ain't no TV, ain't no cable, ain't no phone, ain't no nothing. Cause he said don't get. So I ain't worried about it. So he's there. He gets home the first. I will never forget this day. I was so mad at him. This day I was so pissed at him. So we get home. We chilling, we eat. Okay, the one caregiver came over, so we introduced herself because she coming the next morning on her own. I ain't gonna be there. I got a little lockbox for the keys, just show her around. So, it was cool or whatever. He wanted Captain J's and wanted got us some shit. He's a foodie, like he a Southern foodie. Like he don't want no sugar free nothing. He want the season it. Like he want the Kool-Aid with the like he wanted them. He a Southern man. So anyway, when he got his chicken from Captain J's, got his little food. So he was eating whatever, and now it was time to go. It was me. I had my daughter, my daughter's father, and the caregiver. So we leave. I'm like, hey, you want me to help you get in bed? And I know in his mind, he thinking, I'm at home. I can do it by myself. I've been doing it by myself, but he not realizing I just been at rehab. I've been sitting in this chair. I really ain't walked for real by myself. But in his mind, and I get it. Cause it's like your mind is like, I'm at home. I can do what I need to do. And he has thick carpet. So he's in his wheelchair. Thick carpet, been sitting in the same spot. I said, you want me to help you? You want her to help you get into bed? No, not yet. I said, okay. So when she left, we ended up leaving after. So I said, you want me to help you get out of bed, get in bed? No, I'm all right. Like, are you sure? I'll let me push you to the table. Cause okay, so he had a dining room table, but he wasn't sitting at the table. He was like distant from the table at a catty corner. I'm like, you want me to push it? I said, I'm all right. I said, you know what? Okay. All right. So we ended up leaving. It's like 10:30 at night. We leave. And I know he about to be sitting there the whole night. I know he is. Like, if I had cameras, it would have been like a movie. Like, I know he gonna be sitting here. One is thick carpet and he's in a wheelchair. So he can't just roll around like you can on tile. So, and then you've been sitting there, so now your wheels is stuck in the carpet. Mind you, he ain't got no phone. He ain't got no TV on. We got lights. DTE was on. That's all he had. He didn't move to the table. So he literally just like sit in the middle of the floor. No TV, no phone, like it's quiet. But I asked him prior, did he want me to turn stuff in? He cussed me out. I said, okay. So when I say that man sat there from the time we left at 10:30 to 6 a.m., when I say he learned the lesson that night, and I wasn't even trying to do that. And when I say I was so frustrated with him, I called my brother, I'm like, Jerry, and I tell him, he's like, well, Jamie, he gonna learn today. And when I tell you, so I called the caregiver and I told her, just like, I want to give you a pre-warning. He's still in the same spot. That when you left, he's still in that same spot because he had a little attitude. So I just want to let you know he ain't moved. He been sitting in the same spot. So she's like, all right, babe. She was like, well, I'm outside. I can go in early. I said, okay, cool. So she called me crying, laughing. She was like, girl, I came in. So mind you, he's been sitting in this wheelchair for, what's that, about good 8 hours. He ain't roll nowhere, can't roll nowhere. He not at the table. So he literally just sitting in a wheelchair, thinking whatever. He had a lot of time to marinate. So she called me like crying, laughing. She's like, girl, I walk in like, good morning, you up this morning? Knowing that he been sitting there since the night before. And she's like, she's like, I seen these little things on the floor and I seen the little puddle. I was just like, oh my, he's eating chicken. That's what his chicken. She's like, okay, because she's a vegan or vegetarian, so she don't eat meat. I'm like, it was chicken. She's like, okay, that makes sense. So she was like, yeah. I was like, good morning, how you doing? You up early? And she this was so funny. She was talking about, he said, I've been sitting here all night. She's like, oh, you want to get in the bed? So he slept all morning. And it was crazy because the next day was my daughter's birthday and we went out to eat. So we went to go pick him up. So as I get there to get him dressed so we can go, he's like, you know what? You was right. Like, what are you talking about? I should have gotten in the bed. I said, oh, okay. So if you're dealing with a stubborn elderly person, especially visit, just let them learn their lesson. They'll come back around. But yeah, that will forever be one of my funniest, most recent memories from him.
So the first question I had when you mentioned the family drama and the people that were saying that you weren't the power of attorney, did that make you feel like you just wanted to stop taking care of your dad, or just wanted to give up, or just like pass on, sign over your rights to them?
Not to them. Basically, it was like they was bullying. No, they were literally like bullying me, basically, in so many words. And I know it's nothing but the enemy. Certain people just personality, this is what they do. But no, they was literally bullying me. Like, you would have thought like I was a chick on the street and they didn't know me. Like, I wasn't their little sister. Like, I was not, had no ties to them. But no, I wasn't, because I already knew what they was gonna do. Like, like I said, it's like 7 of us. One of us had passed out of that side. And I'm like, if everybody come one day a week, I want to pay no caregivers. So it's like some people was like complaining about, paying caregivers. I'm like, well, why do I have to pay his kids to come take? I said, okay. So this is a lot of drama. But no, I didn't feel like I wanted to give it. Like, I definitely wasn't giving it to them. If anything, like, it wasn't nobody else to give it to. Like, I was it. Like, he wasn't married. I was it. So no, I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't give. That's why I did it. So they did. Because I already knew it was going to happen to him. Right. And he knew what was going to happen to him. So he already know he know his kids. He know what was up. So.
And how would you say your, with the testing of your faith during this time, how would you say did it increase your relationship with God or decrease it? And in what ways did it increase or decrease?
It definitely increased, because God showed his ways in so many ways with dealing with this whole situation. So from the hospital calling me, they called my number, but they asked for my sister-in-law. I was like, and at that point, if that would have been the right number, who knows what would happen? I wouldn't even know that he even fell and broke his hip. So that, and then, so that whole situation, because I'm like, how are you calling me? Like, I'm Givens, but that's not my first name though. Like, I'm somebody else, but you calling my number. Then from even being able to pay, like, the caregivers were not paid by the insurance, like they were paid out of pocket. And if y'all don't know, it add up, paying $22-$25 an hour, and you talking about 12 hours, it add up. So yeah, that wasn't no money out of nowhere, and he wasn't rolling the dough like people thought he was. Like, when I started taking care of him, he had like $6,000 in his savings account. Like, he had no money. People thought he was just like, he didn't have no money like that. Like, he was getting a pension and he was getting a Social Security check, but he wasn't rolling in the dough. And once you pay, he still had, rent. He still had this car, other little stuff that he had going on. And then, like I said, Penny's caregiver. So I'm like, by the grace, I don't know how. Like, when I say God was doing, I don't know what he was doing, but he was making it do what it do when it came to get to the paycheck time. Cause yeah, we wasn't making this that much. So like, he just showed himself faithful. And then even like with having a caregiver, Gigi, her demeanor, how my dad interact with her, like that alone was like, even when it was times I'm fussing with him, or like if it's another caregiver, she not even there, like she off. And he acting a complete nut, and they calling me. I said, just listen. Like, I told one caregiver, it was a guy. He didn't want to do it. He thought I was playing, but I was dead serious. Like, I got sick of my daddy acting the fool. So he would get up in the middle of the night, go get snacks as soon as everybody leaves. So like, I'll have somebody there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You got plenty of time to figure out what you want, but then you want to go as soon as they leave and go in the kitchen. So you can't walk when you want to get snacks and stuff. And then, he will fall, and then he'd be acting a fool. I said, listen. So the last time he called me, he was acting a fool. I ain't doing nothing. So he put me on the phone, and he still. I said, listen. I told the guy, I said, listen. This is what I want you to do. Call 911. Stay there till they come. Let them and lock the door and leave. He said, oh man, I can't do that. I said, what you want me to do? The man, I forgot what it was, but he wouldn't listen to me either. I said, listen. If you don't want to listen, I don't know if it was a sugar. It was something. I was just like, this is what I want you to do. Call 911, be there to open the door. As soon as they leave, lock the door. He's like, no, man, I ain't gonna. I said, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not about to sit on and argue with you. I'm not about to argue with him. So he ended up calling Gigi. And Gigi, Mr. Givens, huh? I heard you cussing I ain't cussing nobody. She was like, I was on the phone. So like, she would basically get with him and whatever needed to be done. So she just took over that whole thing. Like, they wouldn't call me no more. Because I'm like, he ain't gonna listen to me. So she took over that. Like, I knew that was nothing but God. Being able to pay the caregivers, that was nothing but God. Even like that special rehab thing, like, it's things that I don't know. Just the whole situation was all God. Even the fact that me and my dad even started talking again, like, it was literally like how it all played out, it was God. Like I was there, being able to connect him with his brother, before, you know, he passed or whatever. Like it was all God.
What were some things that you did during that time? I know you said you were pretty much doing a lot, taking care of your dad, taking care of your daughter, working all at the same time.
I wasn't working.
Oh,
I was trying to figure out my own life. I wasn't working no more because I'm like, she had went to, what's her name, and now I got this kid and I'm taking care of him.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
when you were taking care of both of them,
yeah, luckily her dad is in her life, so he would help with her. But it still was a lot because she still was new.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what to do with this over here, and I got you too. Like, and you talk like she just be quiet, like you be talking.
How was your relationship with God? What would you say? Was there anything that you were doing during the time, like going to church or Bible study or reading the Word on your own, or just the things that was happening during your time taking care of your dad that you were like, okay, this is God?
Life. I just knew it was God because none of it made sense. Like, I really didn't have a relationship or build a relationship with God. Like, let me phrase this. I knew God since I was a kid. I've been in church, grew up in church. My mom always had me in church. But I didn't have a relationship with God. I just went to church because mom told me to go to church. I built a relationship with God after my dad died. So it's like I had Haley, which is my daughter, and then had to take care of my dad once he died. And then my engine in my car went out. And that was it. That's what broke the camel's back. After that, I just was like, you know what? I was literally in the house for like a year. So I had nothing to do but build a relationship with God. And that's when I actually was intentional about like getting in his word and listening to different sermons and learning things. Like I wasn't in church because it was like, I want to say like the beginning of COVID. But I wasn't in church anyway. Like I wasn't in church at that time. It was after I built a relationship at home. Like I was in my word. I started up for devotionals on YouVersion app, and then actually started listening to sermons on YouTube. And then I'm getting into these sermons. One of my favorite ones who really like broke it down in the beginning was Stephen Darby, Pastor Stephen Darby. So I listened to his sermons, and he to the point. He ain't cute with it. He gets to the point. He'll cut you and keep you pushing. So it really was just like, it was real life. It was real talk. It wasn't like phony. So it really helped you to see like the things that you dealing with in your life, the things that have been holding back. Like you feel like you're crazy, and it's like, no, I'm not crazy. This is why this happened, or this is, so it explained a lot. So it really helped me to get clarity just in my life in general. So that's what I really started. And then from there, reading the Bible on my own, and then start going back to church.
That was really good. Thank you so much, Jamie, for coming on and telling your testimony. I do have to ask, what advice do you have for the ladies that are watching, that are going through what you've been through?
Ooh, child. Now that I've been through all those things and I have a relationship with God, I would say the first thing is really be intentional. First of all, being intentional on knowing who you are and like what you stand for when it comes to family. And then secondly, I would say definitely have a relationship with God, because he can move some stuff. He could talk to some people. He could talk to some doctors. Like he can do stuff that we can't do. Like he shows up in ways that we wouldn't even think of. So I would say definitely try to build a relationship with God, even though I know sometimes it may be hard. Like if you never went to church and things like that. But I would say start off getting the YouVersion app. It's a free Bible app. You can listen to the Bible kind of stuff. Like, I can't read the Bible because of the these, those, and thumb, whatever. You can just listen to the Bible, which is the start. So listen to the Bible, do the devotion and things on there. They have way more stuff on there now than when I was, back then. So I would start with that. Build a relationship with God, just being intentional and just really getting to know who you are and what you want out of life. Like having a standard, because once you have a standard, it's like now you know what to accept and what not to accept in life and in general. So that's what I would say.
Lastly, let the ladies know what you're doing, what you have going on, and where they can follow you.
Okay. Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram. My name is Living by Grace Now. And I live by grace. But yes, Living by Grace Now on Instagram. I am a wellness coach. So I am helping moms to feel confident in their body and prioritize wellness, because a lot of us, I learned that too. Like in that season when I was in the house for a year, I had no choice but to get myself together. So I started working out, eating. Me and the kid was cooking. Like I said, we was in the house for a year, so literally we had nothing but time. So relationship with God, building myself, and taking my health serious at that time, especially after just taking care of my daddy and all of that. I also wrote a spiritual guide. It is like a devotional to help you break the cycle of depression. So if you are dealing with like mental battles, it's called Take Back Your Mind, to really just help you to build a relationship with God, and also like get to know you and build a relationship with yourself. So if you do, it's kind of like a Christian, Kickstarter kind of deal. So if you are in this beginning walking, you really just want to like get in the word and get a better understanding. It's the word, it's like journal prompts for you, and also like a little bit of my story, so you can be able to relate, like you not by yourself, but then I put that word on there, so I'm not just talking out my butt. So yeah, that's what I got.